This is Steve Schmidt at The Warning. We are pleased to be able to introduce you to Claire Berlinski. She writes a fantastic Substack, one of my favorites, one of the first things I read every morning, the Cosmopolitan Globalist. She is a veteran journalist. She has lived all over the world, covered the world. She is an American in Paris, where she is joining us. Welcome, Claire.
Thank you so much. What a lovely introduction.
I think the stakes of this debate in June just could not be higher. I think it's the highest stakes political event of my lifetime. And I don't think the media has adequately framed it as that. Former president and a successor. Former president is a convicted felon who is giving Vladimir Putin a green light to invade European countries. So I think, though, that if the election were tomorrow, I know that Trump would win. The good news is, right, there's 157 days to go, and that's a very long time in politics. But what I wanted to ask is, envisioning him winning, talk to me about what happens in Europe. How does Putin see Ukraine? We would certainly cut off arms to Ukraine. How does the Ukrainian story then come to its end game? And what happens next? What is the 4 years of opportunity in Europe?
If Ukraine loses, and I think that's what Trump would facilitate, that's what he's threatened to do, cut off arms and say, we're going to solve this in 24 hours. What else could he mean besides Ukraine loses? We will see the biggest genocide in Europe we've seen since the Holocaust. And I don't think that the rest of Europe, or at least Eastern and Central Europe, is prepared to let that happen without a fight. But I also don't think they're prepared for a fight. They need another 10 years for that. And many are beginning down the path of rearmament and preparation for that, but it's going to be sooner than they can do it. It's going to depend a lot on what happens in the French election, who's in power here. Macron has been trying to position himself as, the French president has been trying to position himself as the leader who can take the place of the United States in unifying Europe behind the French banner. But it's a little hard for other countries to accept, because at the outset of the conflict, this most certainly wasn't the role that France was playing. France is the only nuclear power in the EU right now, and that's extremely important. Whether France is actually willing to make Paris the target of a first strike, I don't know. I think there will be a race toward nuclear proliferation the moment Trump's victory is announced. It will be so fast. It will be one country after another. We're going to be, every country that can nuke up will enter into a agreement with a country that it believes can protect it, and it's not going to be the United States.
Would that be the first move in Europe as a result, that the French and the British, would it be them together, would extend their nuclear umbrella over the European Union?
I don't know. It might not be the whole European Union. I think the big question is whether Germany would feel that it's essential to have a bomb under its own control, or whether there would be some sort of Eurobomb arrangement, which is what they're talking about now. But I think there is now a sense throughout Europe that Europe must have its own nuclear deterrent, and it can't just be a French deterrent. There has to be some kind of sharing arrangement. How exactly this will manifest itself, I don't know, because obviously I'm not privy to the discussions when they talk about what are we going to do about this. The last thing they would invite me to listen to, but I'm seeing all the signs of the discussion being very active right now. I think if the UK were to extend its guarantee, I think it would be more likely to extend it to Northern Europe. And I think Sweden would be probably the country that would be most likely to superintend over a Nordic bomb, or an Aurora Borealis bomb, the Baltics and Sweden and Norway and Denmark under its aegis, Finland too. But I'm not going to try and make a concrete prediction. I'm just saying this is what's going to happen. There's going to be a panic, and the only answer to that panic is a nuclear.
And this has been the goal for the last 80 years, to make sure that never happened.
Exactly.
That there was a lack of nuclear weapons proliferation. And I want to get into this for
Exactly.
everybody who's listening, and then we'll later watch this, which is the thing that is not explained that you explained so brilliantly. The United States of America pays more money than all of these other countries combined for the mutual defense of a system that benefits what country the most?
Hands up, everyone.
Right? Our country, and the purpose of this system that has endured for 80 years was built to keep what two countries demilitarized?
Exactly. Hands, everyone. And what do you think is going to happen when Japan and Germany announce that they're nuclear powers? You think that the wounds of the last war have been so forgotten by their neighbors that that won't cause an earthquake? Do you really think that Poland is going to be comfortable being between a nuclear Russia and a nuclear Germany without its own nuclear weapon? Do you really think China is going to respond to a nuclear Japan with equanimity? South Korea? North Korea? I mean, I think no one holds the sins of the fathers against Japan and Germany now. We see them as extremely democratic, peaceful, cooperative countries. They've been demilitarized. Well, not Japan, but they've been pacified. But there are wounds that never go away. There are suspicions that never go away. And while Americans are capable of forgetting history, you can't forget history if you're these countries' neighbors. It's going to be the day that Germany performed its first nuclear test. We're in a world that no one can predict what happens next.
I'm Steve Schmidt. This is The Warning, and I invite you to subscribe on our Substack, on our YouTube channel. Follow us. Welcome to the community.